Ladies and gentlemen, this is the biggest game in the Texans franchise history. It is the playoffs. It is do or die. It is in Beantown against the Patriots, who have been there, done that. And this is going to say a lot about the Texans going forward and who they are as a franchise. Can they get over the hump? Can they finally get into the AFC Championship game for the first time in franchise history? I can't wait to find out. We're going to break it down. We got CJ Stroud, we got D'Amico Ryans, and the Mike Golic will join us as well. All right, welcome to Kickin with Kunkel, y'all. Appreciate you guys being here. Shout out to Socorro Tequila, best tequila out there. 3 ingredients, no additives, blue agave yeast and water. Make sure you guys go out there, buy yourself some, and yes, they will be part of our watch party again. If you guys aren't familiar with this, we've been doing watch parties, me and Paul Gallant at Easy's Liquor Lounge in the Heights. It is a blast. We have great crowds that come out. We do our show that streams live. We got the sound on of the game in the building. We kind of just hang out, give out a bunch of swag, and I mean, it's a really good time. We're flipping burgers and having hot dogs this time around. Travis Weaver of Man Ready Mercantile Exchange is going to be out there. Man Ready Mercantile. I don't think the exchange is part of it. But anyway, we're going to have a blast Sunday afternoon at Easy's Liquor Lounge in the Heights. I suggest you all come out. Now, before we get into this Patriots game, which is probably the biggest game in Texans history. They have the opportunity to get to the AFC Championship for the first time in franchise history. And I say that because I think the expectations are higher than ever before, especially with this defense. But there are questions with the offense, as there have been all season long. And this is how I look at it. First of all, great teams win championships. Great defenses give you, Mike Golic and I have this conversation. They give you a puncher's chance, but a dominant defense, which is, they have a dominant side of the ball, the Texans do. But we're about to find out. This is a Super Bowl winning defense. Is this a Super Bowl winning team? We're going to find out. This is a measuring stick game against the Patriots. The Steelers game was a dog walking. The first half was much more lopsided than the 7-6 score indicated. I think, like they dominated that game. The offense couldn't finish drives, which does bring me to some of the talking points I do want to hit, which, by the way, if you are not subscribers to Kicking It with Kunkel, do yourself a favor. Become a subscriber. Find me on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, all of that. But subscribe to Kicking with Kunkel on YouTube. That's kind of where everything's at. It's the best viewer experience for y'all. And, of course, I want to hear what you guys think about the upcoming game and the last game with the Steelers. So make sure you guys hit that super chat, skip the line, and all that. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, hit the hype. I don't know if you can hype a video while it's live. I believe you can hype it afterwards. But if you can hype it now, that'd be dope. And just do that thing you got to do with the algorithm. I appreciate all y'all. Okay, so CJ Stroud, I put this post out there that CJ Stroud actually played a pretty damn good game outside of the almost catastrophic turnovers. And I know you can't just remove the turnovers. That's not how playing quarterback works. But you also can't remove all the good, because a lot of people want to get rid of CJ Stroud and bench him and have Davis Mills take him to the Super Bowl. Like, it's not happening. I thought tequila was misspelled on the bottom line there for a second. CJ Stroud's better than Davis Mills. And think of it this way. Like, these plays and these drives were long. They were the longest. They had the most first downs on a drive this game against the Steelers, and they had it all season long. They had 6 first downs on a drive. So let's just say, for argument's sake, there's 10 plays in a drive. CJ Stroud is picking apart this defense. The run game is working. They're going down the field, 9 plays, bing, bang, boom, boom, boom. Like, awesome. And then the 10th play, it explodes and kind of erases everything that happened in order to make it a successful drive and to get points out of it. But that doesn't mean that the first 9 plays didn't happen. That doesn't mean that CJ Stroud isn't like throwing dimes across the field and isn't particularly awesome on third down. He was as clutch as you can be on third down. I went into this game saying that third down conversion rate was much more important than the red zone conversion rate. You want your offense, don't get me wrong, to score touchdowns. And I think that number needs to be better from what it was through the season because they were 1 for 1 against the Steelers. That number of the red zone conversion rate is much more important against the Patriots because you're going to need touchdowns to win. I didn't think you needed touchdowns against the Steelers to win. I thought maybe you could shut them out. I did not think that they were going to score a touchdown. My prediction, though, was that they did. 30-13. That was my prediction. It was actually 30-6. So I told a bunch of buddies that, hey, if you can sprinkle a little bit on the shutout, do it. And then also on the under 7.5, do it as well. Because Steelers just had no explosiveness. They weren't going to be able to beat the Texans on multiple levels, multiple times throughout the game to win. It just wasn't going to happen. They could get a play here or there, but they're not going to be able to do it consistently. But the offense ran the ball really, really well. And CJ Stroud, I want to show you guys some stats because this is just, I guess, the truth. And I'm not excusing the turnovers. The turnovers cannot happen, especially against the Patriots and then in the AFC Championship game and then the Super Bowl, because you're no longer getting that favorable matchup that you got with the Steelers. That was a great matchup. They have no explosiveness. Their offense was terrible. You dominated the game from start to finish, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So CJ cannot do what he did in the turnover department in this game. But you see that stat. I want to find the stat that I put out on my X account at Will Kunkel V, which, by the way, anyone else hit with this Verizon deal? I was hit with this. Where is it? Come on, man. Okay, CJ Stroud on third downs. I put this out on my TikTok too. These numbers are not good. They're great. There's no touchdown on third down, so it's not elite. You'd like to see at least one touchdown, but 8 of 12, a 67% passing percentage on third down, 152 yards, 7 of 12 conversion rate, 3 explosive plays, so chunk plays. It's not like it's just 3rd and 1. He did throw an interception, and he did all of that on a 50% pressure rate. That's the kicker there. He was under pressure the whole game, nearly 50% throughout the game. So the offensive line protection was not as good as a lot of people are making it sound. It just wasn't. And he was so good on third downs. Let's give him some respect. Where was the other? I had another stat that showed how good he was under pressure. I think it was something to the effect of he had the 2nd most passing yards in his career. By the way, follow me on X, retweet the show so that more people can come in and hang out. He had, here it is. 8 of 14 under pressure for 148 yards, tied for 2nd most yards under pressure of his career. And he was under pressure 48.6% of his dropbacks, 5th highest of his career. So the offensive line, as much as they've improved throughout the regular season, they're really not protecting CJ the way that he needs to be protected or that any QB needs to be protected. And CJ's making throws under pressure. He's doing it under third down. He's doing it when he needs to do it the most, but he's got to do it. He's got to protect the ball. And I'm not worried about the turnovers and the fumbles against the Patriots, not because they can't turn them over, but because the fumbles were an anomaly. And they were all, I know, who was it? Brock Osweiler had that kind of crazy, that funny quote about how every interception has a different story, which, by the way, is true. Everything has its own story. Every fumble, one was Jake Andrews' fault. He snapped the ball. CJ wasn't ready. I believe CJ did drop 1 or 2, but it's not like he's done that their entire year. It's not like this is a reoccurring theme that we just can't fix. It reared its ugly head in a playoff game, which you don't want. But I'm not worried about it being around forever. He said that he and Jake Andrews addressed it. We'll talk about that coming up. All right, let's see some comments coming in. Just joined. Stroud was cooking all night. Money's on all those boneheaded turnovers. Yeah, that can't happen. But to say that he shouldn't be the quarterback is crazy. Just really, really stupid. Stroud never has back-to-back bad games. Yeah, I don't know that he never does. I don't know that off the top of my head or not. But your point, yeah, he's a pretty damn good quarterback, and he's good for this team. Let's get into the Mike Golic conversation. This will run I don't know, about 20 minutes or so. And then we'll get into CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans, and we'll talk about this game a little bit more, y'all. Now it's the Texans defense. Do you see a way that any team can attack this defense like a fish? Come on. You just happen to win your one. All right, Mike, let's just talk about the obvious right now. It's the Texans defense. Do you see a way that any team can attack this defense like efficiently versus, you just happen to win your one-on-one battle? How do you beat this defense?
I mean, they are solid at every level. They, Seattle and Denver just have fantastic defenses, without question. And then obviously it's about how the coordinator, Matt Burke, calls the games as well. But in an era of disguising and putting 6-7 guys up at the line, but only rushing 4, but not knowing which 4, Houston basically just lines up and says, we're going to rush 4, we're going to drop 7, beat us, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I don't see defenses be like, hey, we got 11 guys that are better than your 11 guys.
No.
We're going to win one-on-one battles at every single level and by a wide margin to where we kind of make you look foolish.
When I saw that most when I played for Buddy Ryan in Philadelphia. I mean, Buddy Ryan basically just lined everybody up and said, we have better talent than you, and we're just going to line up and beat you. And that's what Houston does. It's amazing. And it's interesting that between Hunter and Will Anderson, not both of them start out a series. Usually one of them's on the sideline and then coming in. So they're the best D lines are the D lines that have a bit of a rotation going on, that have more than 4, that have like 6 to 7 guys that you can rotate in. So when you can keep one of those guys off the field for the first couple plays of a series, I mean, you're talking about fresh legs.
So how do the Patriots and Drake May attack this defense? How do you think they have success?
Well, listen, Josh McDaniels is a great offensive coordinator. Drake May is having, an MVP season, though I think Stafford will win it. Their defense plays like a Mike Vrabel defense. They're solid on both sides of the ball. They don't make mistakes. It's kind of the old Bill Belichick way of where we may beat you, but we're going to try and let you beat yourself. Let me tell you what, if CJ Stroud puts it on the ground 5 times, that could be a recipe for disaster. Can't turn the ball over and give New England more possession. So they're a fundamentally solid team, not necessarily a big play team. They'll hit an occasional one on you. They'll run the ball hard. They'll play tough defense, and their defense will keep them in games like Houston's defense will keep them in games. So this could turn out to be a rock fight.
You mentioned Stroud. That game against the Steelers was one of the most kind of confusing games to analyze because he played really, really well for let's just say there was 10 plays on a drive. 9 plays were like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
And then the 10th play kind of wiped it all out. But you can't throw out all of it because of that 10th play. So what do you say to CJ? What did you see from
it's just protect the ball better, right? Yeah. I mean, that's the main thing. You have to, and it's, especially when you're going to get pressure with the Patriots, you'll get disguises with the Patriots. You have to know when to eat it, when to throw it away. And when you're trying to make a play, don't hang that ball. You just have to be smarter with the football, especially against the defense like New England's.
What do you make of New England's poor schedule? Because it's normally in the NFL, your poor schedule is minutely worse than the next guys. It's actually historically easy schedule. I also think they have 14 wins. They've earned 14 wins. They play like a 14-win team. They believe they're that good. And you don't apologize for any wins in the NFL. At the same time, this is a different beast. What's going to happen is the narrative is going to write itself afterwards. If they lose, it's first time they saw a good team. Or if they win, it's they were a 14-win team.
Listen, everyone's in the NFL is an NFL caliber player. Obviously, there are teams that are dreadful. Understand that. And the Patriots played a lot of those teams. But they're into the divisional round of the playoffs. They've earned their way there. They're a really, really good football team. They're not just winning because of the competition that they're playing. And that's the thing about the AFC is I won't be surprised if any of the last teams makes it to the Super Bowl. Nothing would surprise me at all out of any one of these. The Texans obviously have, as far as the AFC, the Texans and Denver have the best defenses. Patriots are a really good defense. Buffalo has an excellent running attack. They all have their pros and they have their cons. Not one thing. I would not come on when we're getting ready for the Super Bowl and me act at all surprised if any of the last AFC teams were in. Just like the NFC, I would think 3 of them are NFC West teams. I think without question, one of the NFC West teams is getting in.
Yeah, this game for the Texans is like for the Steelers. I think they could have gotten by with third down conversions. They didn't have to score touchdowns. The defense was good enough.
Yeah.
They have a Super Bowl caliber defense. Is it a Super Bowl caliber team? Like, that's kind of what I think we're about to find out with the Patriots. Like, is the offense good enough?
Well, I still believe in the adage, defense wins championships.
You do, because I don't. So I think good teams win championships, and you have to complete that pie chart.
Well, I mean, listen, you can't be an inept offense, right?
Yeah.
You can't be inept, but I still think what a defense does, a defense gets you off the field and gets your offense the ball, and the defense keeps the score down low so you're always in a game. So that's why I still think defense wins championships. They'll give their offense a chance with the ball and keep it close to the end of the game. If you rely too much on your defense and they're off a little bit, it can cost. The offense has to contribute. Nico Collins has a concussion last game, so you got to see how he responds with that. The running game has been so-so. Woody Marks taking over, obviously, and getting the lion's share of carries over Nick Chubb. So, and C.J. Stroud, again, he's been up and down, up his rookie year, down his sophomore year. You know, it's been kind of a mixed bag. Turnovers last week. So, you know, you hope you're going to get the best out of your offense.
Yeah, I think the offense has to do a lot with inexperienced play calling, bad offensive line. It's kind of a hodgepodge of things. But for Drake May on their offensive side of the ball, what do you see with Drake that makes him so good? And is he as good as advertised, or is this just like a really good year for him?
No, he's as good as advertised. And listen, Josh McDaniels has proven he's a much better offensive coordinator than he is a head coach, right? I think we all would agree that. The thing about Drake May is kind of like Caleb Williams, his first 2 years, quite honestly, is he didn't turn the ball over. Now, last year, Drake May's rookie year, he was double digits. He was 10 turnovers. This year, there was just 8.
Nice for you to think about.
You can keep your interceptions to single digits. That's a goal of every NFL quarterback, and he had 31 touchdowns. So he's a very cerebral quarterback. He certainly can use his legs as well, but he makes good decisions with the football because it's not like they have world beater wide receivers, right? Stephon Diggs came in and has been the number one guy, and then you have Hunter Henry right next. So it's not like they have this plethora of world-beating wide receivers. They have a really good running game. They're a very balanced attack. They're really, really, really good. I'm bordering on great, but I'd say really, really, really good on both sides of the ball. They play great team ball, offensively, defensively, special teams, which isn't shocking with Mike Vrabel as your coach, who comes from playing all those years in New England. Doesn't surprise me one bit. Is they don't make a lot of mistakes.
I'm curious from an outsider that probably doesn't watch every snap of the Texans game like we do. When you throw on the film of their offense, what do you see? Like, do they have an identity? What are their issues? What are they good at?
Well, I mean, listen, they're not very good at the run game, right? That is something that's taken, without question, has taken a hit. So you rely on the athletic ability of C.J. Stroud, obviously his arm, especially like what you saw his rookie year when he really came onto the scene, kind of like Jaden Daniels did last year. Again, you look at what he's doing, but again, not a lot of running attack. Nico Collins, the wide receivers over the last couple of years, you've had some injuries there, including Nico last year coming into this year. You have to have guys that contribute outside of Nico Collins, outside of Dalton Schultz, right? You have to have others that step up, and they seem to have guys step up in different moments, right? So I think their offense is good enough to get them by as long as the defense is leading the way. I don't know if the defense is having an off day, if you can count on the offense to say, don't worry, guys, we'll shoulder the load.
Yeah, it's kind of been my motto all year. This team's going to go as far as the defense takes them, but as far as the offense allows. It just feels like they're kind of the anchor to this really strong engine that's trying to pull this team along to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. So, again, you rely on the defense, and you hope, especially in the playoffs, because one bad game and you're packing your locker the next day. And there's nothing more abrupt. I was 9 years in the league, 5 years of those made the playoffs, 4 times lost in the first round. And there's nothing more abrupt when you think you're going to move on in the playoffs, and boom, your season ends, and the next day you're cleaning your locker out. It's a horrible feeling.
Let's just assume Nico Collins doesn't play, didn't practice on Wednesday, just for this question. What does that do for a defense? What does that allow you to do if you lose a playmaker wide receiver one like Nico?
Well, I mean, what then the offense does is, who are they counting on? Is it just going to be Dalton Schultz? What other wide receiver? Higgins, Hutchinson. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be the guy? We kind of say this about the Packers because the Packers really don't have. Christian Watson could be that number one, but he's coming off an injury last year, missed the first 7 games this year. So who do you go to? Who's the go-to guy? And all of a sudden the Texans could be in that position where Nico Collins is a go-to guy. Dalton Schultz is a go-to guy. But if Nico's out, who steps up? And the defense certainly doesn't have to just try and lock down one person. They have to decide, okay, who's the other threats? But no other threat is like a Nico Collins threat.
How important is liking your teammates or getting to know your teammates? And I ask that because this locker room's super tight. They talk about it all the time, kind of sacrificing for each other, getting to know each other in West Virginia, Greenbrier during training camp. Like they went away for a week. Not like several teams don't do that anymore.
Right.
I don't know if that's the make or break, but I'm of one that thinks that a tighter locker room is obviously better. You don't have to like everyone, but kind of that sacrificial theme definitely runs through this locker room.
So, as I've always said, 53 guys of an active roster in a locker room. No team has everybody holding hands, singing Kumbaya. There's not a great relationship with everybody. There's just too many people. The better you get along, certainly it's a good thing, but do I think you absolutely need it? No, I don't, because as long as on the field you're playing that way, you're playing in harmony with each other, you're playing for one another, doesn't mean you have to hang out after the game. If you do, cool. Like one year in Philly, we had a bowling league on Monday nights, and basically the whole team was involved. It's a good thing when different groups hang out and you get together and you're the best friends you have are the friends on your team, which normally it is. But I don't think it's necessary that everybody get along for you to win.
How do you see this game playing out, Texans Patriots?
Well, can this Texans defense smother the New England offense? It's going to be way more difficult than the way they smothered the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I think the Patriots are more complete offensively. Defensively, they're not as good as Houston, but they're pretty damn good. And offensively, I think they're more consistent than the Texans offense. But as I said, the way the defense is playing, it's probably going to be a rock fight. And then, like they did against Pittsburgh, you get a couple of defensive scores. And boy, that could tip the scales. I'm going to go with, as a former defensive player, that defense still wins championships, and I think I'm going to lean toward the Texans.
I do think it's interesting that the Patriots are a better, well-rounded team, like you said, but there's something about having a dominant force, whether it be offense or defense, but the dominant force of the defense, I think, is something that you just can't count out. You always have a puncher's chance.
Smothers you. You smother the offense, and that's what you said last. You always have a puncher's chance. You always give your offense a chance. They keep it low, the scoring low. They keep it close, giving the offense a chance. That's monstrous in the playoffs.
You still an Eagles fan?
Oh, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I played most of my career there. So, I don't know anybody there anymore.
So what was your thought on their season? Like that the offense was just, how do you have such an inept offense like overnight?
Well, I mean, listen, you had a 2,000-yard rusher last year. Every team you play, if they don't line up 7 or 8 in the box to stop the run, the D coordinator should be fired. The best part of their game is a rushing attack, so you load the box to stop it. You force them to pass. The passing offense, listen, is pretty simplistic, right? I mean, you could break down the tape of showing how it is from routes and concepts. So is it and Jalen Hurts really hasn't had a chance to grow under one play caller.
How about A.J. Brown? Do you think he's around next year with the Eagles?
Wow, that's a great question. I think maybe a lot will depend on who the O coordinator is, who's calling plays. Though you have to look at his relationship with Nick Sirianni and wonder what it is. I mean, they're certainly better with him, but there certainly seems to be drama with him as well. I would say push comes to shove. Yeah, he's going to be back again. I mean, we saw the year before they won the Super Bowl and the offense was great, albeit a running attack. They'll have to try and get that back again.
Same state, different city. Your reactions and what do you think went into Mike Tomlin stepping down?
I think, just he had been hearing the boos and hearing it from the crowd. It's kind of really one of the first times they've kind of turned on him and we're like, okay, we need it. We need something different. We need a break. And I think he heard that. And I think he was maybe at 19 years. The late, great Marty Schottenheimer used to say 10, 12 years in a locker room, sometimes players are looking past you. And you had the two most tenured guys on one team in Harbaugh at 18 years and Tomlin at 19 years. Both end up not with a job anymore. So sometimes, time just runs out. All good things can't last forever. But in Pittsburgh, hell, 3 coaches since 1969. I would say it's still a pretty stable organization.
What are your thoughts on the Ravens owner, Scotty, saying that he wants Lamar Jackson involved in the coaching search?
Well, I mean, listen, John Harbaugh just interviewed with the Giants and Jackson Dart. Yeah. Jackson Dart, going to go into his second year, was involved.
Do you think that was more about John being like, I want to talk to this kid versus like Jackson being like, I want to talk to John?
No, I don't know if it was Jackson saying, I want to talk to John. It was maybe the management, hey, saying, you want to stop in, say hi. I don't know if there was anything technical going on, but I mean, there is something to, now it's not like Lamar is going to make the decisions, but your best player and the player that you rely on the most on the field to have some kind of input, or at least make him feel like he has some kind of input.
Are you surprised at all the coaching? Is there one opening that you're surprised by? I know we can all say the Tomlin one just because it's been so long, but.
Well, I think both Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Yeah. We were so used to seeing Harbaugh in purple and Tomlin in black and gold that it just looks odd that both of them, I'd say that's surprising thing, that both ended up being up for new coaches. So it's going to be weird seeing new coaches on both sidelines.
Is there a job you think is the best one? And is there a job you're like, hey, I don't care who you are, don't take that job?
I think the best jobs are the Giants, Tennessee, and Atlanta, because you basically have a quarterback, right? Now, Atlanta, Penix is hurt. You have Cam Ward in Tennessee. Giants, I think, is the best job available. You have a quarterback, albeit you hope he stays out of a blue tent and gets down a little more running. Yeah. You have a great left tackle. You have a really good pass rushing unit when they're all healthy. So you have, and somewhat young, so you have building blocks there. So that's probably number one, I would say. Depending on the health of Penix, I like Atlanta as well. But those are the three: Tennessee, Atlanta, and the Giants. The tough ones are really Arizona and Las Vegas. Both going to be starting with a different quarterback and obviously a new coach. For the Raiders, you basically have Max Crosby. If you hold on to him, you may trade him for all I know. You have Brock Bowers, right? Ashton Genty, you hope he'll grow into the position. You'll get more out of him. But you basically have Brock Bowers and Max Crosby if he stays. That's what you're building around.
I like Cam better than Jackson, although I think Jackson's way more fun to watch because he's just like a wild card.
Well,
do you think Jackson Darts his out of structure play is sustainable? Like the way he plays, can he actually play that way? And if he can't play that way, does that worry you?
Yeah, yes, it worries me. Especially, listen, he's a young kid. He has a brash attitude. What did he say? This isn't soccer we're playing. I'm always going to go for the tough yards. It's got to be coached into him, right? It's got to be. It says, dude, there's a time and a place, okay? And every play isn't the right time and the right place. So he is definitely going to have to learn that because he will have a short career if he tries to make an extra yard on every single run. So, yeah, that does worry me, but I'm hoping with time he could be coached out of it, or just with time and his frequent trips to the blue tent, he realizes I got to do something different.
What game are you most interested in during this divisional round?
You know what? I guess I think they're at least a year early to the party, but the Bears and the Rams I have in the Super Bowl. The Bears winning the division, winning their first round. I didn't have them even in the playoffs. How far they've come along, the changes they made in personnel, Ben Johnson's effect on this team has been amazing, all with a second-year quarterback. Remember, you have 3 second-year quarterbacks in Caleb Williams and Drake May and Bo Nix. So they're a real wild card team to me. If they can, you have 3 NFC West teams and the Bears. So I'm really, really interested to see if the Bears can keep this run going.
What's your take on Dante Moore of Oregon deciding to go back and not want to go to the NFL?
I think it's a great move. I think it's someone who is looking at the long term, not the short term. Listen, what helps is you can make $4 to $6 million while you're doing this.
Yeah.
He's made some this year and he'll make some next year. But he's got 5 starts a couple of years ago, I believe at UCLA, and 15 starts this year. He's got 20 starts. This league is littered with guys with that little of starts and being productive in the NFL. So I think this was a smart move, even though he lost his offensive coordinator to a head coaching job. I think it's a great move. And as much as I think it's a great move, I think it's a bad move by Ty Simpson from Alabama going in the draft. He's a 1-year starter, 15 starts. And now you're going to go to complex offenses and complex defenses, and I know no matter what you do in college, you go to those complex offenses and defenses, but getting more time in college. You look at 2 years ago, the Caleb Williams group, they basically all had a lot of time in college, getting experience and getting reps. There's nothing like reps. And I think Ty Simpson is maybe making a mistake. What may help him is he shouldn't go high in the first round. If he goes lower in the first round, he could go to a good team that has a quarterback, and he may sit for a bit.
Is this going to be a good national championship game, or is Indiana like that good, like one of the all-time greats type of good?
It's still amazing what Curt Cignetti has done in 2 years. Think about the first year when they played Notre Dame in the playoffs. They made the playoffs with basically a James Madison roster. I mean, it's unreal. That just goes to show you what coaching will do with players, getting the players that believe in the coaching and the coaching that will work. No, I mean, Miami could definitely win this. Miami's playing their best ball right now, and Miami has great lines of scrimmages. So does Indiana, but that's where games can be won and lost. Offensive line, defensive line. Both teams have really, really good ones. And Miami certainly has playmakers. The freshman Tony on the outside, Fletcher, the big 225-pound running back, runs like Derrick Henry. So they definitely have the potential. I'm picking Indiana. I think they're so complete. But Miami certainly has a chance because of the way they're playing.
It's fascinating to me how much history plays in people's brains right now going through this playoffs, because there's no way they beat Bama. There's no way that they can beat Miami. Just because it's the logo, just because it's the team. It's kind of crazy hearing people talk about it as if they're not good and they're Indiana.
Well, I mean, this is what the new college system has brought us. Would Indiana be doing any of this if there wasn't the portal and NIL? No, they wouldn't. They haven't had more than 8 wins since 1945. In the last 2 years, they've had double digits. This year, undefeated. It's been amazing, but that's an athletic department buying in money for the players, getting the right players in the portal, getting the right coaching staff together. It's all coming together, and it's amazing. Kurt Cignetti's head coaching jobs were IUP, Elon, James Madison. But before that, the job he had right before that was 3 years, 07 to 10, 4 years at Alabama with Nick Saban. So that certainly helps having a little Nick Saban rub off on you.
What's going on with your Golden Domers, man? Is Marcus Freeman sticking around? Are they going to be in the playoffs next year? Like, what's the next move for that squad?
Oh, yeah, Marcus is going to stick around. He had a presser, and he said that.
I know they all say they're going to stick around.
Oh no, he's going to. He'll stick around at least for this year. Listen,
this year, yeah.
What I don't know is what his ultimate goal is. If anybody coaching in college, ultimate goal is to coach at the highest level, that's the NFL. So there's 9 openings now, and he's not going. So he doesn't want to go yet, or doesn't feel he's ready yet. I don't know what it is, but he's staying at Notre Dame. Notre Dame got ripped for not getting many portal guys. All of a sudden, they're ranked between the portal class and the high school class, the number 1 class of both. And Notre Dame has always minored in the portal. They never majored in the portal. Like you see teams with 20, 30 some portal guys. Notre Dame does not do that.
I'll ask this broadly because there's 100 ways to go with it. And then I'll say the Lane Kiffin thing really bummed me out to watch. Like, it just seemed like a really raw deal for a lot of people. And it was just kind of sad to see develop in front of everybody.
Well, it is. And listen, and Lane did it, right? There are other coaches, Sumrall from Tulane, who said he was going to coach Tulane for as long as they were in the tournament before he headed off to Florida. Both coordinators at Oregon, they coached Oregon until that team lost. They would have coached them all the way. So it's been done. You just have to commit to it. Lane Kiffin said he wanted to coach Mississippi through the playoffs, and that didn't work out. So then he says the assistants can go, but he must have thought they would lose their first game, because all of a sudden the second game he brought some of them back saying they couldn't coach. What the hell is that? You're either in for a penny, in for a pound. If you're going to let them coach, let them coach. Let them coach for the entire run. Hell, you wanted to, Lane Kiffin, you wanted to coach Mississippi for the entire run. You let your assistants coach in game 1, and then you took some away in game 2. He created this controversy because there are other head coaches and coordinators who coached their playoff teams before they moved on.
Real quick, I want to go back to the NFL. I assume did you watch the Texans Steelers game like all the way through?
Yeah.
Yeah, that flea flicker call. What goes through your mind when you see that and the way it ended up?
The flea flicker to me is kind of like the wildcat. I've kind of lost my taste for it. Unless you run a wildcat play and actually throw the ball, it's not like you have any extra blockers. You're putting the quarterback out wide, so you just have one running back with the ball, and they don't ever throw it. So I don't get it. It's a running play. The flea flicker happens too quick. You hand the ball off and immediately pitch it back. You're rarely fooling anybody because it's so quick. You have to give the illusion of a run to freeze the defense and then pitch it back to the quarterback, but you can't give the illusion of the run that long anymore because of the pressure on the quarterback. You see quick pressure. That's why they get the ball handed to them and they immediately flip it back. Well, that's not time to fool anybody. So I'm kind of I'm done with the wildcat. I'm done with the flea flicker, and I'm not a fan of the fade route close to the end zone.
I hate that too. The tush push is what?
Tush push is fine.
I like it too. Like, stop it. But I also agree that sports is kind of no longer about sports. It's all about entertainment, and it's kind of like ugly to watch. But nonetheless, I think it's fun to watch people bitch about it.
So what happens is why does the NFL stop something? They changed the kickoff because there were concussions related with the old way the kickoff was. Guys running at full speed into one another, so they change it, concussions go down. Well, there's nobody getting hurt on the tush push. There's no injury to say, there's a reason to stop it. Everybody can run it. You're allowed to. So, and I'm a former defensive player. My thought is stop it. Stop it. Because other teams try it and they're not always successful with it. You just have now, one thing I'll say, if you ever ban it, you need to ban all aiding of the running backs, because that's what you're doing here. You're pushing a running back at the quarterback, or a tight end sometimes takes it. So you need to end any running back down the field when they get into that kind of that mush, almost getting tackled, and the old lineman come and push him. You got to outlaw all of it. If you're going to outlaw any aiding of the runner, you have to outlaw all aiding of the runner.
Well, that all kind of started when it broke your heart with the Bush push, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And the NFL actually, for a while, years ago, tried to stop aiding the runner downfield, but they just never called it, and they just kind of let it go by the wayside.
What game are you on with Westwood One Radio this weekend?
I have Buffalo at Denver.
How do you see that game plan? That's a fun game. I mean, kind of different styles, two, really fun quarterbacks to watch.
I mean, and really it could come down to the running game. Buffalo, the number one running team in the league, and Denver, number 2 against the run. So that's what it could come down to. Josh Allen's been sacked 40 times this year. Denver has 68 sacks. They get after the quarterback. So some nice matchups.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Mike, you're the best. I appreciate you coming on, buddy.
You got it.
Man, I love having Mike Golic on the show. I'm going to post this when we're done going live, and you guys can go back and rewatch that, share that with some people. Golic is the man. He and I go back, man, since 2007. Yeah, 2007. I worked on Mike and Mike straight out of college in production, behind the scenes. So got to know Mike Greeny really well as Golic, and just two awesome dudes. Mike and Mike was one of the best sports radio shows there's ever been, for all of you young bucks that are in here that may have never listened to it. I do want to talk about that flea flicker, and I want to talk about Nick Caley in the Pittsburgh game, because I thought that Nick Caley called his best game of the season. I thought it was in a huge moment. I don't think he complicated it much. He found something that was working and stuck with it, and then kind of adjusted offensively as well and stuck with it. The run was working, but then so was the inside zone run, which I think you can do against the Patriots, by the way. He stuck with the run. He didn't overcomplicate it. He kept it simple. He put the ball in CJ's hands when necessary, and CJ executed extremely well, as we went through earlier on third down. He was awesome. Now for the flea flicker call. I mean, when it happened, I lost my mind. I thought it was one of the worst calls I've ever seen, and I hated it. I still hate it. However, I don't hate it as much as I initially did, but I still hate it. I want to make that very clear. It was a bad call at the wrong time in the wrong spot. But there are some things that Nick Caley got right, I thought, with calling the play. So for one, it's a double-edged sword of when you call it. You want to call a play like the flea flicker when you're running the ball well, because you want the safeties to start creeping up. You want the defense to start pounding and take that. As soon as you hand the ball off, they want to collapse on the running back, and then he pitches it back, which actually happened. They got Jaden Higgins open. So from that standpoint, it worked. But the other edge of that sword is, which is where I feel, why are you calling that play when the run is working? Don't go away from what's working. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't call the play just because it came across your play sheet. Call it when it's necessary. Call it when you need a spark. That's what a trick play is for. They didn't need it. Also, I hate doing it where they were on the field. It's, again, a double-edged sword, because if it works, you skip all the yards, touchdown. Like, you don't have to go all the way down the field. The offense, the Texans have struggled to put together scoring drives throughout the season. That's a situation where you're running the ball well. If you can pop one, boom, got it. You kind of steal one. So it's good there. But it's also in the spot where they did it around, well, I think they're on 40. If it goes wrong, then you give them really good field position. If you do a trick play like the Philly special near the goal line, if it goes wrong, they still have a long way to go. So it's not, you obviously take points off the board by doing it if it goes wrong, and you don't want that, but at least you don't give them great field position against a team that doesn't have a good offense that could possibly give them the spark. Now, Texans defense was so freaking good, smothered them after that, and I don't think they paid for it at all. So yeah, they didn't score on the next ensuing drive. And also, if you do it close to the goal line, if you do fumble it, you can recover it. You're still in field goal range, like you're okay. No foul, no loss. So I think it's like a little bit of there were some good things and good facets about the call that Nick got right. But I think the biggest thing that you get wrong with this play call is knowing your personnel. So I like the fact that the defense is creeping. You're running the ball well. You want to take advantage of that and pop one over the top. Got it. What I don't like about it is that it's a slow developing play. And this is my biggest thing with it. You have Blake Fisher out there, who obviously is not one of your best offensive linemen. So you have jumbo package, which, again, kind of like a positive as well. Because jumbo package, they're thinking run, and then all of a sudden you do flea flicker, boom, pop one, and catch them creeping up towards the line of scrimmage, right? But it's a slow developing play. And this is where I kind of end up on this. You run the ball well, keep running it. But the slow developing play with your offensive line, you got to know your personnel. What do they do well? Are they going to be able to block Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt and that defensive front long enough for that play to develop? CJ Stroud was under pressure for 50% of the night almost. 50%. Do you really think that he's not going to face pressure under that type of play where he's got to hand it off? The running backs then got to run it, fake run it, turn around, pitch it. And it's not something they do all the time. It's not in their DNA. Like, Ben Johnson calls these plays all the time. They work on them all the time. Like, go for it. Do you. That's who you are. Dan Campbell of the Lions goes for it on fourth down all the time. Do whatever it is that got you to where you are. This isn't what got them to where they are. They also tried a little bit of a trick play with Tommy Togiai against the Colts, and it backfired. Like, CJ admitted that he kind of turned around. It happened a lot faster than he thought it was going to happen, and Tommy was already kind of by him by the time he went to hand the ball. He kept the ball, and then he ran in for a touchdown. It wasn't designed that way. But that's why I don't love that play, that flea flicker, because you don't know your personnel well enough for them to execute, because they're not going to hold their blocks that long. They don't do it regularly in this game. So they weren't going to do it in that game. That's my take. I thought Nick Caley, I want to say, and I want to be fair to Nick, I think Nick called a hell of a game. I thought he got creative down in the red zone. He called some really nice plays. I thought he got spacing with the wide receivers. I mean, holy crap, Christian Kirk, biggest game of your life and the biggest moment of your life and the biggest game of the Texans as well. Like, awesome. Absolutely love it. I'm curious what you guys think about Woody Marks. Does this change what you think about Woody going forward? Do you think that he's RB1 for this franchise? I don't. I think that Woody Marks is a pretty dang good running back. He's certainly a serviceable running back. He's being misused. He's not being used well enough out of the backfield as a receiving running back. I also think that there's a lot of room to grow at that position. Now, maybe he makes that next step next year, maybe, but I do think the Texans still go out and get somebody else. DeRhino's here. My man hit up the super chat, skips the line immediately. Let's go, DeRhino. How's that Socorro tequila, by the way, that I sent you, my brother? How do you see Sunday playing out? Okay, so let's get into this one. I'll kind of touch on this a little bit because I don't want to do like a full breakdown right now on this episode, but I think this is going to be a really tough game. I think this is going to be one of the tougher games for the Texans. I think they can win it. I also think they can lose it. But I also think that they can win and lose any single game from here on out. I thought if they played the Ravens, they could lose that game as well. I did not think they were going to lose against the Steelers. Steelers had no explosion. They had no ability to score consecutive drives and plays and have success against this defense because you're not going to block them up front consistently. And if you do for a play, are you going to beat Derek Stingley Jr. and Kalen Bullock and Kamar Lassiter Jr.? Like, you're just not going to beat them on multiple levels, on multiple plays, multiple times. It wasn't happening. The Ravens, you could maybe do that. The Patriots have the ability to do that with Josh McDaniels and Drake May and their receiving core and Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry. Like they have, and the running game, Rashad Morris Stevenson and Trayvon Henderson. I think I'm getting all that right. So I think that they have the ability to win this game. But the biggest thing that worries me with the Patriots is Drake May's ability to extend plays and make throws when he does extend the play. He has the ability to keep the play going. Aaron Rodgers did not. But once he does extend the play, he has the ability to run, and he also has the ability to keep his eyes down the field and find somebody open. It's going to be as hard for him to have success in that situation or dropping back or handing the ball off as it has been for him all year long against any team. This is the best defense that he has ever played. And that goes for anybody. Now, with that, I want to bring this to stage because I put out a stat, and it is a damn good one on my X account at Will Kunkel Bay. How do I scroll? Where's that page? Come on, there it is. Okay, kind of recent. If you missed it, those are CJ Stroud's numbers on third down. So if you're CJ Stroud hater, shove it. The dude was awesome on third down. He played a damn good game. He turned the ball over too many times. You can't do that. It's unacceptable. That's what I'll say. I talked about it earlier on the show. This is a pretty cool stat, though, nonetheless. The Texans have won 16 consecutive games, including the playoffs, when they score at least 20 points in a game. Not a whole lot of points. They scored 20 points in this game. I think they win. They are 12-0 in such games this season, including the playoffs, and every other team has at least one loss when scoring 20 points this season. Okay, here we go. So Patriots QB, Drake May, will face the Texans' top-ranked total defense. Only 4 starting quarterbacks under the age of 25, and that's relevant because of experience and having seen things, et cetera, have beaten the number 1 total defense in a playoff game in the last 40 seasons. 4 quarterbacks in 40 seasons. CJ Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Tim Tebow, and Tom Brady. An interesting list, but an impressive list and something that is just simply very, very hard to do. So this is going to be a hard task for Drake May. It's going to be a hard task for the defense too, for the Texans to stop them. This is not going to be like playing the Steelers. They have explosive players. They have the ability to beat you. And they have the ability to have better field position because the Patriots defense, this is where it's going to 2 things. And you heard Mike Golic and I talk about this. 2 things that worry me. The Patriots' ability on defense to hide and disguise what they are doing. I don't know how that's going to impact CJ, Nick Caley, and this offensive line. That's what worries me the most. There was a player for the Chargers after the wild card game that told one of his buddies on the Patriots, who was like, bro, we had no idea what you were doing. We had no idea what you guys were doing defensively against us, and it was so hard for them to block. Now, the Chargers' offensive line is just so banged up and had a really, really tough year without Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. 2 studs. Rashawn Slater, Northwestern. Shout out. But their ability to disguise and not let you know what's coming and how you're doing it is what really, really worries me if you're the Texans. What was the other one? Can't remember what the other one was. Oh, defensively, with that, is that they can give their offense better field position than the Steelers were able to do. So the Steelers they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't run. They couldn't pass. They couldn't stop the pass. Like, it was a dog walk. Which, by the way, that video, the daddy daycare video that I put out, calling exactly what was going to happen, pissed off so many people from the Pittsburgh Steelers that when it was over, I went back into my comments and I dog walked all of them. They thought I was nuts with my prediction that it was going to be 30-13 was my prediction. It was 31-13 was my prediction. It was 30-6. Beat that ass. Belt to Tookus. No problem. The Texans offensively, where I think they can have some success, is this inside zone run. They showed that they were able to do that against the Steelers, and I don't know that it was part of their game plan because they kind of started doing it a little bit later in the game, I believe. I might not be remembering that 100% correct, but that's where I think they can have some success on the inside run. And then if you can do that, then the pass game. Nick's going to have a hell of a game. The offensive line's going to has to have a better game. CJ Stroud has to protect the ball. At the very least, the offense has to do what I've been saying all year long. They're going to have to move the ball down the field, at least to win the field position game. But I also think they're going to have to score touchdowns in this game because the Patriots are going to score touchdowns. The Texans defense isn't keeping them out of the end zone all game long. There's just too much talent by the Patriots to not have any success. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not going to be. Steelers almost had some points, but they didn't. So at the very least, I said going into the Steelers game that the most important stat to me was not scoring touchdowns. It wasn't your red zone offense. It wasn't even the turnovers, because I thought they were going to be fine in the turnover category. They were actually not, but they were the best They were the best lack of giving it away all season long. I think they had 12 giveaways this season, which was best in the NFL. I said the most important stat to me was going to be third down conversions, and they were awesome on it because I knew that they could win this game with field goals alone. I did not think they needed touchdowns to beat the Steelers. And the third down conversions meant that they were staying on the field for long periods of time. They were winning the field position game. Tommy Townsend, by the way, can't have a shank punt of 22 yards, I believe it was. Can't do that in this game. He has to be good all the time. And my third key of the game was to have no special team blunders. And they didn't have like the big blowups. And that's going to probably have to be the same this game as well. But this game, the red zone numbers are going to have to be better than they were throughout the season. They were one of the worst teams, 30th in the NFL, in scoring touchdowns when they got into the red zone. They are going to have to score touchdowns. And to Nick Caley's credit, it seems like he's gotten a little bit better at play designs and play calling when he's gotten in the red zone. I saw that a little against the Steelers as well. Yeah, people that want Mills or Stroud, hit up the super chat, Annan. Let's go, bruh. So a brother, like what the problem is, bro? Come on. But I'll read your comment. Stroud is better. Yeah, he made a lot of mistakes, but Monday night, that's not a normal. Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm not worried about the fumbled snaps. I'm not worried about the exchange issues. That's not something that's reared its long and like, holy crap, here it is again. It just seemed like it was something very out of character, very, very bad, but not something I'm worried about going forward. What I really disliked most, like I hated the fumble stuff, but it wasn't like mental. It was just one was a bad snap. And who knows, like because usually when you take a snap as a quarterback, when you're in the shotgun, you can look at the defense and the ball's coming out, you like slow enough and soft enough that you can catch the ball when you're kind of looking around. Like you can catch the ball using your peripheral. It seemed like CJ wasn't able to do that, and maybe the cold bothered him a little bit, and he couldn't feel his hands as well so that when that ball hits, he grasps it immediately. There are my hands. That's maybe a guess. I wasn't able to get to locker room today, unfortunately, just because I had daddy daycare duties and stuff. I wanted to go get lunch with my wife today, which we don't get to do often. We went to the Phoenician, by the way. Is that what it's called? The Phoenicia grocery store in Delhi. Unbelievable Middle Eastern food. The Lebs got that thing on lock. So damn good. Love it. So anyway, where was I? Yeah, I don't expect that to be another issue. I know it's going to be a cold game. I get all that in New England, but I think they'll probably figure that out and they'll work through it and they'll be okay. So with that, let's go to CJ Stroud and see what he had to say today. And I'll cut in here and there and we'll break down like I usually do what he's saying.
How you doing?
Good,
What
thank
do you think about the opportunity you guys have this week to do something the Texans have never done before and kind of make history by winning this week and getting to the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, I think it's exciting. I think, it's a great opportunity for us to, go out there our next game and, put our best foot ahead of us, and try to get a dub in a harsh environment. It's a really good football team. So.
Hold up. The Phoenician, like the deli, they have a Sunday brunch? Say word. Say less. Bet. Done. In.
So, it's just something on our mind that we need to get done, and, that's all our focus is right now.
When it comes to adjusting to Nico potentially missing the game, what do you see from the other receivers and kind of when you don't have someone like?
Are you thinking Phoenicia, the Middle Eastern spot, DeRhino? Or the Phoenician? Isn't that like a hotel or something? We're getting a little off track here.
That spreading the ball around, using lots of people.
Yeah, we're hoping, Nico can play and, be able to play this game. But, if not, we've had this experience before, played a couple games this year without him, sadly. But, all our guys are talented and, we have a lot of depth in that room, and I'm the most confidence in everybody in there, to get the job done. So, hopefully Nico is all right, but I think if not, we just gotta nothing else we can do, just go forward and try to build with the guys we have.
CJ, all your teammates tell us the same thing. You're the same guy always, never too high, never too low. Man, how did you learn that throughout your football career? How does that help you through ups, downs, anything in between?
Yeah, I've learned a quote: "Don't love the love, don't hate the hate." Like things be up and down throughout your life, your career, whatever it is. I think that's just how life works in general. But especially in the position I'm in, everything is, criticized and everything is talked about. So, I've learned to, to stay what's important to me. That's my faith, my family, and then my teammates, and then myself, how I view myself. So, yeah, I mean, through failures and successes in this game, from time I've been 16, with somewhat of a public eye, and when I went to Ohio State, same thing. Like they would love me one week, hate me the next. So I'm well equipped with what is going on, and I'm excited to play this next game and just kind of keep the same even kill.
Gosh dang it! I want to touch on something about that, because in the offseason, coming into the year, I said I wanted to see more vocal and demonstrative leadership from CJ Stroud, because he was sacked 54 times last year, and I wanted to see him get it in somebody's face because there's so many mental issues, especially with Laramie Tunsil. And I think I was unfair with a little bit of that criticism, because I don't think a lot of the guys last year had the ability to block. And I think CJ knew that. And I think CJ was aware with the fact that, like, if I scream at these guys, they still don't have the ability to do their job. And I'm speaking a little bit out of turn there, but I just want to kind of back off a little bit of that criticism that I had for CJ, because I don't think that it was right. I don't think it was fair. And I think that his even keelness has served him well in his career. And I've always thought that there are certain positions in certain sports where you got to be even keeled. You got to be cool, calm, collected. You can't be like this. You can't be like a linebacker or somebody like that going out and just run through a brick wall, all sorts of hyped up as a quarterback. You just can't. You can't do it as a pitcher. I pitched in college at a very low level, and I was like that because I played football, and I used that mental side on the pitching mound, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't find the strike zone at times because I was so amped up. Instead of listening to Metallica or some Eminem or something, I should have listened to classical. Should have listened to Enya. I should have just gone out there and chilled the hell out instead of getting all sorts of amped up and riled up. And CJ is wise enough to know that ain't the way to go through it. So I just kind of wanted to hit on that.
CJ, how much does it help to Pittsburgh, a really hostile from a fan perspective environment, all the noise, all the things, to start the playoffs that way? Because in the past you guys have started at home. How does it help you continue to be able to have success and confidence on the road?
Yeah, I think it helps tremendously. I think we've had a couple tough away games this year that we've had to go into harsh environments with a lot of passionate fans that say a lot of crazy things and do a lot of crazy stuff. So, I think last week was a good test for us, and I think being able to get past that with a dub. This next week's gonna be the same type of environment, loud. Northeast is always hectic and rowdy. So, they have a great fan base, loyal fan base. So, we'll be able to try to weather that storm and just focus on what we need to focus on, play in and play out.
How much did you feel like y'all being able to run the ball the way y'all did on Monday night, like kind of open things up for the passing game, and kind of how important that might be in case Nico's not able to?
Yeah, the run game is always important. It's always a thing we need to do if we want to, have a great play action and draw back pass, be able to establish the run. And, I think, the way Woody and Chubb and, Jawar are setting our blocks up, but I think it starts with, Jake and, those boys up front, setting the IDs the right way, getting movement, all being on one accord, is definitely helpful. So, yeah, they're doing a great job up there. If we want to, go deep in these playoffs, that's what we'll need every week.
And that's not a knock on CJ for anybody that says they got to get the running game going. They have to be able to run the ball. That is football 101, especially with this team, because they don't pass block well. And if they're without Nico Collins, they're not going to be able to rely on dropping back on first, second, and third down. There's not. They did a really good job at staying ahead of the chains. They did a really good job defensively of keeping the Steelers in third and longs. And I thought that was one of the keys, that if you have an opportunity to get after Aaron Rodgers, you had to get after him. But if they were able to stay ahead of the chains, then it's going to be really hard to do.
Does extra work go in with the center, like you and Jake? Like we saw y'all on the sideline during the game. Is there more of an emphasis on that during the week after having some troubles in the game, or do you just kind of go about it the way you always have?
Well, we'll go about it the way we always have, but we'll be extra tentative on that. So I mean, it's good that we learn from it, move on and fix the issue and keep it going.
What do you think it is about Christian Kirk that allowed him to stay locked in and stay the course despite, having a tough time during the regular season to be able to have a game like he did on Monday night?
Yeah, he's my locker roommate, so I get to talk to him, a bunch, and then we're really close off the field. But I think that's a great question for him. But if I were to answer it for him, I would say his faith, his support system, his God being first in that, and then, his wife, his daughter.
And then Rhino, you are not sorry, or else you wouldn't send the message. But bro, I saw these ads for MKT Bar as well. Is that in that same plaza? So it was my first time going out there. Yeah, you better be sorry.
His parents, his sisters. So, he has a great support system that, is close around him. And then, of course, we try to uplift him as well as teammates. So I think if I can answer for him, I don't want to, but that's what I would say, maybe attest to that.
CJ, the Patriots defense, what do you see some of the characteristics? We saw them really attack the pocket a lot with the Chargers game after Herbert. What are some things you've seen from them that kind of are hallmarks of their defense?
Yeah, they play all on one accord. They do a really good job of playing together. Their D-line is really good. They have 2 really good tackles, really 3. And then their ends are really stout and good. Played against those guys a bunch in my career, so they're very talented. And then you got Davis and Gonzo on the outside, 2 really good DBs who make a lot of plays, and their safeties kind of do the same thing. So a lot of respect for that team, and the way Vrabel's got those guys, together, rowdy. They're playing together, seeing ball, getting ball. They're doing everything the right way. So it's going to be a challenge for us, and got to just do the right things this week, preparing for them.
Vrabel and D'Amico, as former players, what do you kind of see from the way the teams have kind of taken on their personalities, watching the Patriots the way they play, and of course with what your perspective is with D'Amico?
Yeah, I think Vrabel is a guy. He's a former player, somebody who understands what it takes to take a team to the Super Bowl, and was really good in Tennessee for a long time as a head coach. Took that team far in the playoffs there. So,
I don't think you can talk enough about how dumb Tennessee is to have fired Mike Vrabel. They had one of the best coaches in the NFL. I mean, he was an absolute hot commodity and got in right when he took a year off because he wanted to, got back in where and when he wanted to. Sucks for Gerard Mayo that he didn't have a very good year in his first season, so he was out the door. And because if Mike Vrabel is sitting there as a former Patriot legend and wants to coach your team, you say yeah. So now the Patriots have him, and now here are the Titans. They don't have a head coach, and they had Mike Vrabel. That's wild to think. Just dumb.
Just doing the same things, I think, as he's doing now from the outside looking in. And I know, Steph being there, it's a brother of mine. I haven't talked to him in a minute, but every time I did talk to him this offseason or, a little bit this season, he raves about, their organization and, how they, professional, make sure they're doing things the right way. So, it's a great organization, also, a great coach and what they got going on.
Hey, can you talk about, early this year, you got lots of questions about the offensive line and the struggles. Can you talk about the way they're playing now, how it does, or if it has helped your comfort level because of just where the line has been playing of late?
Yeah, they've been playing great,
CJ's going to say that, but the pressure rate's still pretty high. The pressure rate from the offensive line is still pretty high. But I do think they are playing better than they had been playing. But it's not great.
Pass protection has been amazing. Run blocking, like we just talked about, has been great. So, it's something that I'm getting, well equipped with, and I'm, starting to feel comfortable back there and, make plays. And, I think they're doing a great job and IDing things and, just trying to make sure, we're all on one accord. If we're all wrong, we're right. If we're all right, we're right. So, try to just stay with that mindset. But, yeah, they're doing an amazing job from left all the way to right, and a lot of different experiences in there from, Tay being a rookie and then Trent, being a Super Bowl champ, Titus, being in the league for a long time, Jake, same thing, and Ed, the same thing. So, they're doing a great job, and Blake has come in and do a really good job for us as well.
I mean, yeah, Blake's been okay, maybe. We're going to go back to CJ, but I do want to touch on one thing with My number one key to the game in the Steelers game, and I haven't done my keys to the game yet for the Patriots, but my number one key to the game was to protect CJ Stroud early. Wouldn't worry about closing out the game and like protecting him throughout the game. I was worried about doing it early, because if you can give CJ Stroud the confidence that his offensive line is IDing what they're seeing and they're able to pick up blitzes and they're able to pick up stunts and they're able to just pick up the man that's in front of you, then CJ has confidence. He can build that confidence. He can go through his progressions and make the throws that he needs to make. If all of a sudden he's under pressure early, his feet will speed up, the game will speed up, and like, good luck. Now, you didn't need that against the Steelers because you run the ball really well, and they did protect him pretty well early on. But that's important against the Patriots too. You got to protect CJ early so that he has the confidence in that offensive line, like every quarterback too. He's no anomaly. We've seen Tom Brady and we've seen Patrick Mahomes both have very bad games when there's pressure, especially pressure up the middle. That bothers quarterbacks because you can't step into throws and you can't stay back there and read. Like, that just makes sense. And this is what worries me going into this Patriots game. The Rhino asked about it, and I kind of answered this, is the ability of the Patriots defense to disguise what they are doing. Can Jake Andrews, CJ Stroud, and the offensive line pick up what they're doing, know what they're doing, and if they don't know what they're doing, can they react to what they're doing and pick it up? That's what worries me the most. That's where I'm most fearful right now of this team or this game.
Third time in this situation, where do you think you've grown the most heading into it for the third time?
I would say just, taking the plays as they come, flushing the bad and the good, learning from both, and just, moving forward. And I think, even the game on Monday, got a lot of adversity, turn the ball over, and then next play, they're putting the ball back in my hands, and I feel like I answered the bell when my number was called. So, I think it'll be that again this week. Hopefully you take care of the ball, better this game. But, I think when it comes to, adversity, things are going to happen. You see, I watched almost all the wildcard games since we played, the last game. Everybody, made mistakes. Everybody had that moment where it's like, dang, we're messing this up. And then the teams who find a way to, fight through that and keep going were the teams that came out on top. So, that's just playoff football. So, we're staying our head down, working this week, preparing for that. But, I think, we're doing a great job of it, and you got to just keep that going. So that's what I'm learning, is just one play at a time, take the good with the bad, and just keep rolling.
I don't think CJ's ever really had a problem kind of bouncing back from a bad play or a bad game, but he was exceptional against the Steelers. He had some really, really bad moments. I mean, really bad moments as a quarterback, of the interception that he threw in the red zone, just fumbled snaps, like that stuff. It was really bad, and it was stuff that he's usually really good at and he can control. But for him to bounce back from it, I think that was the best part. I think that because that allowed him to be so freaking good on third downs, was the ability to bounce back. I mean, that's hard to, mentally, y'all can relate to that to somehow in your life, is that when you have a really bad moment, to flush it right away and have a big, huge moment immediately afterwards. It's hard. I mean, it's the biggest saying in golf is don't let one bad shot turn into two. It's hard to do. That separates good from great. And CJ was great at that on Sunday against the Steelers.
Do you feel like this is y'all's as Landry mentioned, y'all been in the same spot over the last 3 years? Does it feel like to y'all this is y'all's best chance to actually do it, given the adversity that y'all overcome and the kind of season that y'all had specifically this year?
Every game is separate on its own. I think last 2 years, if you asked me the same question, I would have said we would have won. We don't ever go into a game thinking otherwise, that's just not who the Texans are. But, yeah, every game we want to win, every opportunity, if it was the Super Bowl, if it was the first game of the year or preseason, coach always, eggs us on, like, it doesn't matter who, when, where, why, or how, we want to get a dub. So, I think that's a great mindset to have. But, yeah, we've been in this position before, and, I think we've learned from those things, and now it's time to go put it on tape because, we can talk about it until we're blue in the face, but until you go do it is when it really matters.
You just talked about Steph and your relationship. You're playing against him for the first time since you left in the offseason. Just what's that going to be like to see him on the field again, and what impact have you seen him have on this Patriots team?
Yeah, Steph is one of the best teammates I've ever had in my career, in my life. Like, he's been amazing to my life, not just on the field but off as well. I think he's, super, teammate oriented. He wants to be around the guys. He wants to, do stuff for the guys. He wants to be, one of the captains in the room, and I don't know if he's a captain or not. I'm sure he is, but he's one of the best teammates I've ever had. So he's brought that swag there, and he got the guys rolling around him. But will always be a brother of mine, always be a friend, and I'm just excited to see his career go where it's gone, and for him to get paid like he did is dope to see. So I think he has a lot of great ball ahead of him. So it's always be a brother of mine.
That's a hell of an endorsement. That's a big endorsement from CJ Stroud to Stephon Diggs. That's cool.
What do you think it kind of means to see like D'Amico as the head coach? He was with the Texans as a player, helping get to places they had never been before, winning divisions, things of that nature, and now getting here, doing similar things. What do you think it means to see a player come back to the team that he played for in a coaching role and help try to get them to places that they haven't been before?
Yeah, I'm sure it means a lot to him. I'm sure he's prideful in that and wants to, do the right things. I don't want to answer that for him, but, I think he would say that, it means a lot, and, he wants to win and he wants to do it, every week, and I think, that's the standard that he has, and he holds everybody to that standard. So I think he's done a good job at it. We got to just keep this going and, back whatever he tells us, because, he's ahead of everything, and you just keep that rolling because I think, he does want to, take this team to places where we haven't been. All right, you guys.
All right, let's go through the injury report here very quickly, and then we'll get to D'Amico Ryan's podium day today as well, because obviously the story is, this is my Twitter page. Go on over, find me, X page, excuse me. Not practicing today. Danico Autry, Trent Brown, Nico Collins, Justin Watson. Story, Nico Collins, dumbass. That's supposed to be wide receiver, WR. Nico Collins is obviously the story today. I don't expect him to play on Sunday. It's not one of those things you can control. You either get out of concussion protocol, he's allowed to play, or he's not allowed to play. I hope he does, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm not expecting him. And until we hear otherwise, then we'll adjust. I think that there's two schools of thought with how this offense will operate with and without Nico Collins. I think you're okay in one camp because it's not like Nico Collins is a guy where they feed 11 times, 12, 13 times, and you rely on him for 13 catches, 155 yards, and 2 scores. The offense just doesn't operate that way. On the other side, I hate not having him because you don't have that security blanket of the one guy that can win a one-on-one battle at any given moment, especially on third downs, and it forces the defense to know exactly where he is when he's there, and he has that big play authority. So I think you can not replace Nico, but this offense does throw the ball all over the place. CJ Stroud is so good at finding 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 receivers throughout a game, or 9 guys, tight ends, wide running backs, and wide receivers. And you saw this game, Christian Kirk, boom, out of nowhere. Wow. Maybe this is a Jaden Higgins game. Maybe it's a Jalen Noel game. Maybe they actually throw the ball to Woody Marks out of the backfield. I still wish they would do more of that. So I don't like it. You want Nico Collins on the field, obviously. But it's not like Jamar Chase with the Bengals because they run the offense through Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. That's not the way this offense operates. So I'm not overly scared by it. They believe they beat the 49ers without Nico, who are still in the playoffs. So that's just kind of where I stand on him not playing likely. We'll find out more tomorrow. I believe he's got to practice 2 days before the game in order to be on the field. So that means he's got to practice tomorrow. My days are all messed up because of Monday Night Football. I thought today was Tuesday for half the morning. So tomorrow's Thursday. He's got to practice Thursday, Friday, I believe. Maybe Friday, Saturday would count. I don't think Saturday would. Maybe. I don't think so. But nonetheless, he's got to practice 2 days. Christian, the defensive back for the Patriots, he practiced today. He's their best corner. I mean, you don't want him to be out, because we're human, but you don't want him to play if you're a Texans fan. So, whatever. Here's D'Amico Ryan's.
All right. Is everyone good before we start?
Yeah, that's right.
When it comes to the offensive line and the way they're run block right now, what difference do you see in the way that they're coming off and playing together as 5 as 1
There's no difference with our offensive line. They've been doing a good job all year in the run game. Guys are staying connected, playing physical, and that's what we expect from them. Just stay.
I mean, that's just not true. I get it. Build them up. But that's just not true. The offensive line has not been very good all year long running the ball. Not even a little bit.
Connected, finish your blocks, play to the best of your ability. That's good enough for us.
You look at how New England uses their two running backs, Steven.
That is a wild thing to say, as if we haven't watched the entire season. You can say they've come a long way and now they're doing their job. You probably don't want to put any negative thoughts in their mind, which I get, okay. That's a pretty bold statement for an offensive line that has struggled to run the ball all year long. I remember 4 consecutive plays against the Broncos, they couldn't gain 3 feet, let alone, like come on. Come on, buddy.
Henderson,
Come on, buddy.
Henderson seems like he's come along here in the back part of the season.
Yeah, both backs have a ton of respect for. Both guys are really they run the ball really well. Starting with Henderson, where he sets himself apart is just the breakaway speed, the home run speed. Definitely can get out on the edge and really take it to the house. So you have to be conscious of that. You have to do a great job of tackling him. Just a really fast, explosive player. And then Stevenson, and this guy is just all around, just stud. Runs the ball, physical. I mean, he has passing game ability as well. Catches the ball well. You see, he's just a 3-down guy, all around, purposeful guy that they use in a lot of different situations. You can tell that they truly trust him with the football. He's done a really good job for them. So he's another guy's tough tackle. And we got to tackle well versus both of these backs. They do a great job breaking tackles, making guys miss.
How have you seen Drake May grow and develop to help the team to this turnaround in his second season?
I think Drake is doing a really good job of not making bad decisions with the football. He's doing a really good job of utilizing, where his playmakers are open, he's getting those guys the football, and I think Josh is calling it really well for him to give him, easy plays to make good decisions, and where he's taking that next step is his ability to escape the pocket. I think it's really doesn't get talked about much, but his athletic ability, his ability to escape the pocket has been really clutch for them. He's made some big runs to really hurt a lot of defenses, so we have to be conscious of that. But he's making good decisions, good young player, has a really bright future, can throw the ball at all 3 levels of the field very well. So they do a good job around him. I think it helps first and foremost with how they run the football. They do a really good job of staying committed to the run game, mixing up their personnel groupings, giving you a lot of different looks, a lot of different runs, and they play physical up front. So they're going to make you, stop the run first, and then you have a quarterback who can drop back, and he can go through his progressions really well and make good decisions with the ball. So it's a really well-coached unit. I would say you watch the tape, that's what I see. Very disciplined, well-coached team, and those guys execute really well.
Coach, go ahead. You're facing Stefan again for the first time since he left the team this offseason. It seems like kind of over the 2 years, well, when he came in the offseason last year and now this year, the secondary has taken a big jump with the Texans. Do you feel like his presence, the practice?
Hey, just real quick, if you guys are watching on X, I think that's awesome. It's always our biggest viewership. But I would love if you guys went to YouTube and watched, because best viewership experience for you. And it's where I need the subscribers, and they pay like actual money versus X pays you like cents. So that's all. Thanks.
Battles to advice kind of help this group kind of over the years.
I think with our secondary group, our guys are just always eager to go out and get better. No matter who they're going against, our guys they're competitive guys. Steph has done a great job there in New England, making some plays for them, being very quarterback friendly, which Steph has done, his entire career, run a lot of option choice routes, and he's very explosive after he catches the football. So another guy we got to make sure we have eyes on and make sure we're doing a great job of tackling and covering him really well.
You and Vrabel are both former NFL linebackers. What skills that are required to play that position do you find valuable as a head coach?
As you play the linebacker position, I think the thing that for me that helps you, in coaching is, as a linebacker, you're responsible for more than one thing. As a head coach, you have more than one thing on your plate all the time. When linebackers, of course, you have to step up and you have to play the run game. You have to know the front. You have to know run fits. which can be very intricate, and it changes a lot based on gap pulls, different schemes. So you have to be able to adjust and adapt on the fly in the run game, and also you're required to play in the passing game as well, which is a lot of different details depending on the calls and what you're running. Linebackers have to account for, covering receivers, covering running backs. You have to do it all. Same as a head coach, you're kind of in the middle of everything. You have to be able to do a lot of different things. You have to be able to be trustworthy, smart, accountable, and that's what the linebacker position requires. So Vrabel has done a great job of leading this team. He did a great job of leading the Titans when he was there. Really smart coach. His team is always well prepared. They always play physical. Right? So it's a tough challenge. He's done a good job there, having his team in the position they are in right now based on where they were last year. See his leadership. It's really taking an effect over that building, the entire team, and they play that way. So he's done an outstanding job right there. I have a ton of respect for Vrabel.
You talk about the secondary and being eager to improve, no matter who they face. What's that internal competition between them? As far as I know, they're a team and they're rooting for each other, but just kind of like that friendly internal competition between them.
Yeah, our secondary guys, like I said earlier, they're competitive guys. They're not just competing, with other people. They're competing with themselves.
Is that secondary the best in football? It has to be, right? By a wide margin. Petrie, Bullock, Stingley, Lasseter. Come on, dude. That's crazy.
Sales first and foremost, right? And it's a challenge amongst our groups to see who can make the most plays. And I love that. It's a healthy competition amongst our guys, and that really drives those guys to be better. And the way they work out on the practice field is second to none. So the success that they have is not surprising to me because they put the work in the right way.
When you look at how y'all – I'm sorry, go ahead, Kim. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. What is it about the Patriots' defense that makes them so good against the run? What do they do well?
Starting with the Patriots' defense, the thing that they do well is that the two interior D tackles, right? You can't talk about their defense without talking about how those guys play. Barmore and Milton, they do an outstanding job. Explosive, physical guys do a great job, run game and passing game. So it starts there with the interior guys, and, they are physical up front. That's one thing I said. They do a great job of setting the edges. You're going to have to earn every yard that you get in the run game. It's not going to be easy. That's why they're good in the run game. Tough, physical guys at the defensive line spot and at the second level. Those guys play very hard, play very physical. So they make you earn it, which is what you have to go do at this time of year.
I was going to ask you about the defense too, but
Thanks, Brandon.
in terms of how y'all won the game this past Monday, like how much changes week to week and how much of just the way y'all won is like the formula, aside from obviously turning over the ball,
Love
which y'all
this.
ran the ball good on third down, obviously had defensive plays. Like how much of that is just like just a straight up formula versus having to change from week to week?
For me, at this time of year, however you have to win games, it changes each week based on who you're playing and what are their strengths and how do you minimize the strengths of your opponent. So this week it probably look different, based on what we do schematically, but our style of play, it doesn't change. No matter who we play against, our style of play will never change, and that's just playing fast, playing physical, swarming. That's who we are, that's what we do. That doesn't change, and that travels wherever we have to go.
So I do think during the regular season, the fact that they didn't have much of an identity on offense hurt them. It's hard to win football games week in and week out if you don't really know exactly how you're going to go into every game attacking as an offense, and you don't really know what you are really good at. So when he said it earlier in the press conference that they've been really good at run blocking all year, obviously that's not true. But I do think that the fact that they were able to finish out the season with 9 consecutive wins with that recipe kind of does help you in the postseason to a degree. Because I still wish that they had like a clear identity, but I also think that the ability to just win games, like you have the ability to sometimes throw the ball, to win strictly with defense, which more times than not, that's their identity, to run the ball like they did against the Steelers. Just the ability to win a game, however you do it, and having done it in different ways, several different times, against different opponents, against different identities, with different identities, I think bodes well in the playoffs when it comes down to it, because what if your identity is taken away from you and that's what you lean on and you don't know where to pivot? So maybe, and I think I'm right on this, maybe though, this has helped Nick Caley grow on the offensive side of the ball. Like, okay, the run's not working. We want to be a running team. How do we become a running team if we aren't being able to run the ball? But then we also got to find success elsewhere. And then it kind of takes you 17 games to find a little bit of success in a lot of different places. So I think maybe in a game like this against the Patriots, which, by the way, very different beast than it was the Steelers. It's not going to be a dominating game. But I think that if it's close late, I give the benefit of the doubt to this defense, because they are a dominant force. They are the best unit on the field at all times. There's not an offense better than them. There's not a defense that's better than them. There's not a special teams that's better than them. They are the best unit in all of football right now. So I trust that they will come up big in that biggest moment. I also think on the offensive side of the ball, they haven't had really good luck, not luck, but they haven't had good success doing one thing in particular all year long. And so maybe that will help them in tight games like this where they kind of just got to figure it out. Just kind of a more positive view on the lack of offensive success throughout the season and finding that true identity of exactly who you are. You know, your identity is you do what everyone knows you're about to do in the biggest moment, and you do it anyway. You have success doing what you do best, even though everyone in the building knows you're about to do whatever it is that you do.
Really changes practice, just ball security. I know that was a little bit of an issue there in Pittsburgh. Does that emphasis change, or is that something you guys handle all the time?
No changes, right? Just making sure we're aware of what's going on and making sure we handle it the right way. I know CJ and Jake, they'll do a great job of being on that this week. And, you know, I think no one feels more bad about that than CJ. I know he'll get that corrected, get it fixed, and he'll be ready to roll this week.
Go ahead, Christy.
If you had to describe your pass rush to someone who had never seen you guys play, how would you describe it?
Oh, I leave that up to you with all the beautiful words that you have for us. If I had to describe our pass rush to someone who haven't seen it before, I would just say, oh man, a lot of different terms. But I would just say, you're looking for 4 guys who, I mean, it's like 4 Tasmanian devils just wrecking everything that's in front of them. That's how I look at our guys. They are fast.
That's a really good way of putting it, because they are like that. They are absolute monsters and freak shows and moving so much faster, it seems like, than anybody else on the offensive line at all times. It's crazy. And they work in unison. It's like synchronized swimming Tasmanian devils is what it looks like. It's nuts.
They are physical, and the way they get off the ball, the way they collapse the pocket, they're a terror. And it's fun to watch those guys, and that's what makes our defense go. Like, why are we able to rush 4 guys and play the way we play? It's not because of I'm such a great coach. It's because we got really great players up front. And this game will always be about the players, and those guys, they set the table for us, for our entire team. You good?
A lot of people are impressed that you're able to have such a ferocious pass rush with mostly just doing the 4 players, not blitzing a lot. I think even Tomlin mentioned that. What is it about your guys that allow you to have that success with just the 4-man rush?
Yeah, the thing about our guys is, it starts with their coach. Like Coach Rod Wright has done an outstanding job of helping, each and every guy in that room improve their craft. They are constantly after it, whether it's staying after practice, walking through, like studying film to see what are their moves, how can they counter off of what they've been doing, like having Daniil and his experience in the room to be able to help the younger guys as well. Will's such a young player, but he's had a ton of success and he's gotten better, right, from just that room and the competitiveness, the pride that they have in that room of understanding that we go as a team is only how they go. Like, they are the engine to what we do as a team. So when they have that mindset, they play with that mentality that it's on them. every single time that we line up. They understand that, and they don't mind shouldering that responsibility, right? And because they work their craft, they get better at what they're doing, and they're never satisfied. So when you have that type of mindset, I'm happy to rely on those guys.
Coach, with Vrabel playing and coaching against them all throughout your career, do you kind of feel like you guys probably approach the job pretty similar ways?
I'm not sure how he approaches it. So I mean, from the looks of it and what I've seen on tape, he's very detailed in what he does with his team, right? And that's one thing I see, a detailed coach who always has his team ready to roll.
Coach, Josh McDaniels' offense, or because Drake has a little bit of escapability, does that give him more flexibility, do you think?
Of course, I see a lot more flexibility within the offense with what Drake is able to do with his athletic ability. You'll see some zone read plays. You'll see on third down in the red zone. You see him design some plays for him. We saw last week the pass out of the backfield, even though he ran that against me in 2015 with Brady. So I remember that play. So I guess it doesn't matter about the athletic ability of the quarterback, but. Josh does. I would say this. Josh, his ability to call plays and set things up. He's one of the better guys I've seen in the league that's doing it. He does a great job of calling plays, setting things up, getting guys in position, really training your rules and what you do defensively. So we're going to see a lot of things that we haven't seen before, and we have to just trust and rely on our rules to get us through.
Coach, after one of the turnovers that CJ had, he was sitting on the bench, and Ariante walked over to him, said a couple of words to him. He said he told him, doesn't matter, just keep slinging the rock. Is that the type of culture that you feel like that you built from day one since you got here?
It's definitely the culture that we built. It's built on, it's not about one person. And it's about the team, and it's about everybody truly caring for each other. And that's the relationships that we build in the off season, the depth of our relationships that we continue to expound upon throughout training camp. You hope those relationships help you in times of adversity. When we have a bad play. It's not a bad game, it's a bad play. Understand it's just a bad play. There are many more plays to be.
Fans could use that. Fans could use that word of advice when you're analyzing CJ Stroud's play.
Played in the game, and we just got to handle it that way. You can't let one bad play become another bad play. And so having teammates to support each other through the bad I love that, because that's what true team sports is all about. You can't do it by yourself. You can't win by yourself. We need the help of others. Same for all of us in life. We don't go through life alone. We go through life by the support of others. And that's what our team is about, man. I love it.
Earlier this year, you also said that you told the wide receivers to, practice some touchdown celebrations. Do you feel like now you have to tell the defensive players the same thing?
No, they don't need to celebrate. Just keep making plays, baby. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right. Good stuff from CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans today. Tomorrow is going to be Frank Ross, Nick Caley, Matt Burke, the coordinators day, and of course our open locker room again. Appreciate you all tuning in tonight. Shout out to Socorro Tequila, best tequila out there, no doubt. And don't forget, on Sunday for game time, we've been doing this for some home games. Me and Paul Gallant are going to do our show in unison live at Easy's Liquor Lounge in the Heights. Easy's Liquor Lounge in the Heights on White Oak. Me and Paul Gallant are going to be out there live. Travis Weaver, who owns Man Ready Mercantile, Matt Tanner, who runs Easy's. We're all going to be out there together. Travis has an unbelievable spice company as well that he's going to be flavoring, cooking these burgers and dogs with, and other food and drank, of course. Socorro will be out there. We're going to have a blast. So make sure you get out there. Pre-game show will start about 1:30, 1:45 or so. Making sure we all get all set up and ready to roll. But we'll be out there. Easy's Liquor Lounge in the Heights. Come hang out. I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. Subscribe to Kickin' with Kunkel on YouTube. Like the video, comment, share it. Make sure you're a subscriber and even a member of Kickin' It with Kunkel. I appreciate everybody that tuned in and chimed in. You guys are the best. Have a safe, pleasant, and blessed night, y'all. Oh, I got to get my outro video. What do you think about this outro video? Let me know. Hey, Adrian, you're you're probably not wrong. So come on out and have a little drinky poo.